what are the cognitive and behavioral parameters that enable an individual to successfully control a brain-control interface?
So imagine so if we talk about cognition or mind, I believe it's the highest form of the response that you can imagine from neural networks.
Sure.
And on a single neuron level, we had a good discussion just now that how neurons respond. Now, if you think about brain-machine interface, for instance, you can imagine the main module that needs to be there is actually try to decipher how a single neuron, preferably, or a population of neurons respond for a specific stimulus when presented, or for any output task as well. So let's say if I take as an input a visual image, and my response to that will be in the form of a hand gesture, let's say something like this, then I take the sensory information as input, and I actually respond through a motor output. Right? Now, if we look at the motor activity, then it actually starts from the brain, but it goes through our nerves, right? And there's most of the brain-machine interfaces as well. They put both the EEG caps as well, where they try to detect the signals from the brain. And more recently, actually, there is a lot of work which actually try to detect the signals of the motor output through our motor neurons present in our wrist, for instance. So for people who are interested, there is a startup which is actually acquired by Facebook now, or Meta now, which is called Control Labs, which actually does that, where you can control devices through your sort of like a band in a wristband, which has a lot of sensors. Now, on a high level, you can imagine such applications where they're trying to build is you can imagine a virtual keyboard, for instance, right? So you are typing, but there isn't any keyboard, but you can actually see your types, because you can decipher individual fingers and their motor activity. And now if we take both the information together, which is the input and the output, so we take the sensory information as input and output, then you can imagine on a high level what is happening is our mind is actually trying to generate a sense of the external environment and learning to actually respond through some motor activity, right? Now, in that sense, you can imagine that cognitively speaking, initially it may not be straightforward for us to actually, understand that brain-machine computer interface as a natural thing. But since our mind is so plastic, over time as we learn, over time as we interact with these devices, I think there is a natural modulation that is expected to occur, right? Not only for people who actually really need to rely on brain-machine computer interface for any disease reason, or if there are handicaps, for instance, but especially for people who want to control devices for day-to-day tasks, for instance, which we just discussed as controlling a keyboard, as an example. Now, I believe that there is still time to actually see that, because those devices are out there, but we don't see many people using them today. But there is a hope that this will happen more in the near future. And what effects would it make on our cognition and mind? And how would we actually naturally move through this phase of transition? I think this is something that we will learn more over time.